joy away from me. Joy. Please don't take the joy away from me. Joy. Joy 99.7 FM.
On the water with me. Come on and walk on the water with me. You will not fade. You will not fade. Come on and walk on the water with me. On the water with me, you will not fail. You will not fail.
All right, very good evening to you here on Joy 99.7 FM, your super station, your channel of blessing and your place of inspiration. Today is Sunday, the 20th of November 2022. It's a day the Lord has made. We rejoice and we're glad in this beautiful day. 5 minutes after the hour of 9, right here on 99.7 megahertz. This is A Walk with Jesus. My name is Ato Acquah. I'm ably supported by way of production by Abraham Ofosu Ofori. I have a letter to read to you, and it's from a dear Christian sister. I wouldn't want to let her name out, but this is what she writes to us, and it's worth discussing. In our local parlance, we say that there's an adage that says, Obia sem safwa ebie obipuno. To it, someone's key to the door opens another person's door. It tells that we could be discussing somebody's issue. However, it will be your issue as well on board. So I'm very sure that if you would listen with rapt attention and open not just your ears but your heart, as long as you're married or you are interested in marriage, you will be blessed. This is a letter from a sister. Dear Pastor Ato, my husband and I have been married for the past 3 years. We courted for 8 months and then we married after knowing ourselves for about 3 years. He's a good, God-fearing man who does everything expected of him as a husband to ensure that the family is always happy. My only challenge with him is that when we have to have sex as a couple, he jumps straight into the action and then comes. She uses the word come, but she's referring to orgasm. She comes quickly while I never come. When I talk to him about foreplay before we have sex, he keeps telling me it's a sin and that growing up as a Christian, that is the teaching he has received in church. And for me, this is where it's alarming. That's the teaching he has received in church. And engaging in all those kind of foreplays probably that the wife was suggesting, he finds them sinful. But so the truth of the matter is that I have yearned to be satisfied and pressure is mounting on me to seek satisfaction outside. Kindly help me. Is my husband right in saying it is a sin to do other things to get me to be sexually satisfied? And if that is the case, what can I do? He is a good man. I don't want to hurt him, but I'm also hungry. Thank you. Well, That's a letter from a dear sister. And my resourceful guests are going to help us as far as this subject is concerned. So tonight, on the back of this, what we discuss on Walk with Jesus is the Christian marriage and sex. To what extent does the Bible permit me to go in satisfying my spouse? I'm going to be introducing my resourceful guests after a musical break. Kindly share your comments and your questions on the subject with us via the platform, the WhatsApp platform, 055-1111-997. That's 055-1111-997. And on the Joy FM Facebook page as well. We're live on Facebook. Once again, you're warmly welcome. This is A Walk with Jesus. My name is Ato Acquah. We'll be right back.
From the very first time that I set my eyes on you, I didn't feel Cupid's arrow. It was no love at first sight, but I knew there was something so special about you, baby girl. As I got to know you, you've turned this boy into a man, and my mistakes into a plan. So I never let you go. This is the woman I love. She's the center of my joy. And this is the woman I love. No one else can make me say I do. She makes me go. La, 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 la. She makes me go. She makes me go. No one else can make me say I do. Oh, what a gift from the Almighty God. She's so selfless and understanding. I can't explain it. Oh, she's amazing. She's no fair weather friend. I give anything just to have a laugh at her. So she's my shining star. And as the days go by, I found the reason why this little boy should be a man. Turn my mistakes into a plan. So I never let her go. This is the woman I love. She's the center of my joy. This is the woman I love. No one else can make me say I do. She makes me go. La, 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 la. She makes me go. She makes me go. No one else can make me say I do. I promise to be the love of your life. I promise to make you my queen and my wife. I promise there'll be no reason for you to let go. I promise to be your man. I promise I'll remain your husband and friend. I promise there'll be no reason for me to let go. This is the woman I love. She's the center of my joy. This is the woman I love. I place the one above her. Ooh, yeah. La, la. She makes me go. She makes me go. No one else can make me feel so loved. This is the woman, and this is the woman. This is the woman. This is the woman I love. No one else can make me say I do. She makes
Right, so you're warmly welcome. If you just tuned in, this is A Walk with Jesus right here on Joy 99.7 FM. And tonight we are discussing the issue of sex in marriage, the Christian marriage and sex. To what extent does the Bible permit me to go through. Satisfying my spouse. I read a dear sister's letter. For those of you who just tuned in, let me quickly run over the letter, and then I'll be introducing my resourceful guests right here, and then we'll hit the road. It says that, dear Pastor Ato, my husband and I have been married for the past 3 years. We courted for 8 months, and then we married after knowing ourselves for about 3 years. He is a good, God-fearing man who does everything expected of him as a husband to ensure that the family is always happy. My only challenge with him is that when we have to have sex as a couple, he jumps straight into action and then comes quickly, while I never come. When I talk to him about foreplay before we have sex, he keeps telling me it's a sin, and that growing up as a Christian, that is not the teaching he's received in church. Pastor, the truth of the matter is that I have yearned to be satisfied, and pressure is beginning to mount on me to seek satisfaction outside. Kindly help me. Is my husband right in saying that it's a sin to do other things to get me sexually satisfied? And if that is the case, what can I do? What can I do? He's a good man. I don't want to hurt him, but I'm also hungry. Thank you. My guests in the studio is the one and the only. Today I have two one and onlys. The one and the only Elder Amos Kevin-Annan right here in the studios. Yes, boss. How are you doing, sir?
Well, we had our International Men's Day.
Sure.
It was a great time.
Sure.
And I salute all the men for having this privilege. For the great work we're doing, and all the boys who are aspiring to be men.
Exactly.
We inspire you and encourage you to be stable men who would not be insecure when you relate with women.
Sure.
That aside, the day has been great.
We bless the Lord. Thanks very much for making time to be with us once again, and to share of the wealth of knowledge that God has blessed you with.
I'm profoundly honored to be in the company of Mama Cathy, who is aligning and repositioning, and I'm just watching and I'm going, Mama be that.
On the back of that, I introduce to you Mama Cathy. We affectionately call her Reverend Mrs. Catherine Onwe Oduekit of Family Renaissance, and she's joining us via Zoom. Mama Cathy, a very good evening to you. Good to have you. Well, Cathy, you may have to put your microphone on.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, I have put it. It was off. Right. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm privileged to be with the two powerful gentlemen in the studio.
Mercy.
It's a blessing to be with you tonight.
Right. Let me begin with you, Mama Cathy. I'm very sure you heard our sister's letter. For privacy's sake, I withheld her name. I'm very sure you heard the letter read out.
Yes, I did.
How important is sex to the Christian marriage?
Thank you very much, Pastor Ato. I won't mince words, but I'm going to start by reading Proverbs chapter 5. And I'm going to be reading verses 18 and 19. It says, let your fountain be blessed. This is Bible. And rejoice with the wife of your youth. As a loving deer and a graceful doe, let her breast satisfy you at all times, and always be enraptured with his love. How important is sex to a Christian marriage? It's overly important, for want of a better word. It's overly important. It's something God created for the union called marriage. It is part and parcel of the union called marriage. It's exceptionally needful that it exists, and a good one exists in marriage. So listening to the letter you read, I saw ignorance personified.
On whose part?
I don't blame the on the part of the husband, on the part of this wonderful brother in the Lord, who is in serious error. I don't know where he got that teaching, but I would use this opportunity, if he's listening, or by whatever means God can take it. Sex is too important for him to be taught otherwise. Songs of Solomon is one book in the Bible devoted to sex. And for him to say he was taught that foreplay and the rest of them is wrong. It's such an error. It's such a sad thing. Because one, he does not understand how we are wired. He doesn't understand the differences in wiring of the male and the female body. The creator of the universe wired us very differently. One is gas cooker, the other one is watered charcoal. Chai. That's just how we were wired. So if the gas cooker that only needs a matchstick to ignite fire is now looking down and saying that the one that the charcoal has been poured, water has been poured on charcoal, and it can't catch fire quickly, should be ignored because it's considered sinful. It's nothing but an error. And I believe that is why we are here tonight, to correct this error, because this error can lead people to a lot of problems if they don't exercise self-control. Marriage is very important. God created it for his own glory. He created it for bonding between partners. He created it for pleasure that should be enjoyed by partners. He created it to engender love, such love that is exclusive to two people. You know, he created it in such a way that you come to a place of you are naked and not ashamed. And he put all of the intricate parts in our bodies so that it could be explored and enjoyed, and the fullest satisfaction derived from it. It is God-centered, it is God-originated, it is everything God, and we need to help people understand that there will be no sex in heaven. And God gave us this privilege of having it here on earth. And the best is that we listen to each other, like in the context of this letter, that the husband will please debunk all of the lies that were told him and embrace the truth that is embedded in the Word of God.
Right. Uncle Amos, it's interesting that our brother's orientation is this way, but I'd want to find out what is good sex? How do we know this is good sex in the context of marriage?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Mama Cathy, for those insightful statements. I think that we start off in the book of Genesis 1:27. We are male and female. God has created us, and that is the binary expression of human beings. Now, consigning myself to the binary expression, it's important that, like she rightly stated, the man must understand the woman and how she is wired, how her frame is, and what gives her responses. In much the same way, the woman must also appreciate that the man is wired differently because he's a male and you're a female.
Well, from the letter of the lady,
now,
and from what Mama Cathy has said, it looks like our brother doesn't have that orientation at all.
Well,
and that's the
there
picture.
There are some elements in the letter that needs to be spoken to.
Okay.
So, for instance, you have a young couple of this state.
Yeah.
First, I'll look at the preparatory stages they went through, the preparation towards marriage.
It could be they didn't
pre-marriage, yes, because these things are dealt with at pre-marriage counseling.
Yes.
Now, so I don't want to assume. I am not giving to too much assumptions. I like to speak on the bare face of what is written.
Sure.
Now, this is a lady under pressure.
Yeah. She says she feels like
this
going
is
out.
a lady who has a benchmark for satisfaction. So my cynical thought would say this: where did she learn satisfaction from?
Okay.
It may sound cynical, but that's really.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
before we get into marriage, these things ought to be discussed. And she's benchmarking their spouse on what she calls satisfaction or also attaining pleasure, which may be alien to the husband.
Sure.
Now they are in the marriage.
Yeah.
So there's a need for conversation.
Yeah.
And then there's the need for support coming from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they are not able to come to a point of convergence,
Yeah.
which is the helpmeet which Genesis 2 speaks about. He's not supposed to be alone, so God makes a help suitable for him. So good sex will be suited to you. It's so much of a need for us to know that each spouse is, the fabric is different from every other spouse.
Okay.
Now, there may be many spouses, but there is no spouse like you.
Okay. So what is good sex
So-
to me may not be good sex to,
Not at
to
all.
my spouse.
Not at all. It's not going to be.
So the
because
fact
you
that
see-
I'm okay doesn't mean my
So, for instance, if you look at pleasure and romance and intimacy, men tend to be physical. Women don't tend to necessarily be physical.
Do Christian men understand this?
Well, that is why I think that these opportunities are aimed to reshape our thinking and help us.
Okay.
Mama Cathy illustrated it with the
Gas and the charcoal thing.
The charcoal thing. But I like to introduce another.
Sure.
Men are like orange.
Ekutu?
Ekutu orange.
Okay.
You see the orange, the hard skin,
Yes.
a prick, and there is juicy peel.
Yeah.
That's men. A woman, on the other hand, is like onion. The bulb onion has layers. Outer
Sure.
shell very dry. Now, if you focus on the outer shell, you can't get deeper. The deeper you go, the better it is. And sometimes some men think that the deeper you go means that chainsaw operation. Suhum sahom, Madina Zongo Janshin, Madina Zongo Janshin. So
I'm lost.
Odoko Kaneshi.
As in just penetration.
Exactly.
Oh.
But I always talk to the men and I say, no, it's about technique. It's not about what the people talk about. I'm going to power her. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So a lot of it, the fixation is penetrative sex.
Oh.
Whereas for the wife, is tenderness, is connection, is emotional exchange, is the chemistry, it is the assurance, is the confidence, is the comfort she has. All these things are very important. So, you see, you've got to painstakingly take off each layer of the onion. It may be piercing, but that's why you need patience as a man. So you don't rush to your wife as though you're going to dig galamsey and running away from galamstop.
And that is all that we call foreplay.
Yeah. It starts from many things. Some is words, some of it is actions, some of it is attitude, many things. And then, you see, the things on the mind of the woman, there are many. We men are mostly like the Ghana Black Star, One Goal Project.
I hope we're not going to do that in Qatar.
No, I pray so. I pray that at least we got two from Switzerland. So that's a good one coming. But like I'm saying, it's important that we help our young men. And sometimes we fault people, we fault the church. It's easy, the church is a low-hanging fruit, so everybody's crucifying and bashing the church. But I say to people, I ask them a question, how many of you still live by the things you learned in primary school?
No.
How many of you still live by the things you learned in GHS or secondary school?
We definitely have added
We've
on.
added on. So life is a continuum. You must have a lifelong learning attitude. If you don't have that, and this is where I fault the gentleman, that he needs to unlearn, relearn some things. And any human being who refuses to learn and relearn and unlearn, very soon you will become extinct.
Interesting. Regarding foreplay, Mama Cathy, what is acceptable within the confines of Christian faith and what is not acceptable? The lady did not tell the exact things she suggested to the husband that he says that, sin. But what is acceptable and what's not acceptable?
I love the analogy. I think I've shifted from gas cooker to
onions and orange now, eh?
I'm adopting the orange and onion because that goes a long way to answering this question you just asked. What is foreplay? Pastor Ato, truth is, the way we are wired as female, and God wired us, is such that foreplay is not just when you get into the bedroom, probably you switch off the light and you start touching. Foreplay starts from the beginning of the day, from morning. Sweet words, touch, affection, kindness. And then all of that forms the build up to the actual action when the time is created for it. So foreplay is finding out from the woman those sensory parts of her body. You explore. Like Elder Kevin said, you see, the challenge we are having in this woman's case is the fact that there is a hint of comparative analysis.
Yeah.
Because probably if she had not enjoyed something before,
she
wouldn't
be
have
able to.
What to compare with what she's actually receiving now.
True.
And that is why I think that it's high time that human beings, mostly Christians, come to the place of respecting the boundaries that God has set. So we don't put ourselves in trouble. But that aside, foreplay are the actions carried out, maybe touching sensitive part in a woman's body when the actual deed is done, when the day has been properly managed and handled. It's coming to a place where you speak kindly, sweetly to her, and then you ask her, what do I do? Basically, you should ask. And then you are patient. The truth is, patience is in capital letters. Because most times the problem, encountering people through counseling and the rest of them, most times the challenge men have is because of how they are wired. When once they see the thing has come and they just want it. And it doesn't work like that. And that is why one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit in Galatians 5 is self-control. That even though you are at the neck of it for the sake of the other person, because sexual intercourse is about considering the other person and placing value on that person above yourself, satisfying the need of the other person before thinking about yourself. So foreplay is ability to bring your wife to the place where, like the last layer of the onion, she is dripping, literally.
Cathy, not to take the wind out of your sail, somebody listening to us may say, well, but that's too much work. I mean, I don't have control over my feelings. I'm way up there. And now I have to work you slowly into alignment with me. Is that not too much work? You also bring yourself, into that state.
It's true. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a series of events that will lead up to that maturity. So I quite agree with, it's too much work. But you see, we have classified this conversation today to address Christian marriage. Yeah. So the adjective there is Christian.
Okay.
Christian marriage. A Christian is not self-opinionated. A Christian is a person that cares more about the other person. It may not start and then you learn it overnight. No. You'll be patient. Your wife will also make you have work. But the underlying thing is communication. There has to be deep conversation where the wife understands, okay, my husband is new to this. I will also be patient with you as I journey you into bringing me into the place where I enjoy fully what God has blessed us with. So I'm not going to be hard and fast on making you learn this overnight. So she needs to even respect the husband enough and then boost his ego and then deal with him in such a manner that he feels comfortable and safe in exploring. Because if she doesn't do that, what he'll feel is guilt. And that guilt can even make him feel impotent at a point. So you've got to be, patience is required from both ends. And a lot of reading of materials that will open godly materials on sex. Because nobody has monopoly of knowledge as much as we want foreplay. That foreplay, we can learn and expose our partners to learning from people you can trust. Their information is clean. And then over time, then the partner will come into fully knowing how to handle a woman's body. So that you give her full pleasure. So for this woman now, 3 years of marriage, I will ask her, have you engaged your husband seriously? Have you prayed for him seriously? Have you told him what matters to you? Have you opened up and have
I think that.
And then what Elder Annan said comes in. You have to unlearn certain things you come and then relearn what will help and make for peace in the marriage. So, in a nutshell, foreplay is bringing me to a place where I am comfortable to connect with you without any reservation. But it can be a build-up to that.
I see. And the woman, the man has got to understand this whole foreplay conversation from that point.
Usually when you go to a restaurant and you have a 3-4 course meal,
sure,
you're giving starter. When we used to play football, Tama Colts, before Arnold Warriors or any of the teams, before they played, either Prisco Minis, Anochi or Young Kotoko
will come and play.
Harbour City will come and play. That's the curtain raiser. A foreplay is just like that. It is what is done before the main thing. But you see, for a woman, they are not distinct from each other. Okay. It's actually a whole thing. So I brought my illustrative.
I was going to ask about the TLMs.
So I have the woman, her feelings, her frustrations, and her framework.
Okay.
So in it, you see this. You see a ball of yarn. Now, the ball of yarn here that you have, you see each strand touches any strand at all.
Okay, so the mauve, the pink, the yellow.
Yeah, there are different colorations, but you see the strand is this.
Yeah.
And they touch anything. So typically, a woman will say, like their counsel say, Bibi anko ka papa So something can cause a woman to lose interest in anything which has to do with sex. On the other hand, look at the man. Everything is like a pigeonhole.
Okay.
Everything stands alone and in their own space. So it's very easy for the man focusing, you see, sex is here, love is there. A man can differentiate between the two. For a woman, they are interrelated, they are interconnected. Trying to compartmentalize it, the woman cannot relate with that. So for instance, when a woman has headache, it impacts her interest in sex, not a man. Unless the man really doesn't have energy, doesn't have strength. So it's important that as we educate people, when you go to 1 Corinthians 7...
For instance, I'm not taking the wind out of your sail, Uncle Amos. Can you please lift
Yes.
This is for understanding.
Yes.
So, for a man... We had conflict.
It has no bearing
it has
on
nothing
sex.
to do
it has
with
nothing to do.
So, I mean, once I want sex, our conflict.
But for the woman, it has.
But for a woman,
it does. That's why she spoke about it, that it starts in the morning. Because the attitude with which you related with your wife in the morning has impact on your afternoon jump or late night rhythms.
I see unpaid bills.
Unpaid bills. It can affect.
Man, well, the bills can stay somewhere.
The bills can stay here. I mean, bills matter. Let it stay.
But
we are parenting. Let parents stay. We've got lifestyle issues. Let's put but it should not affect sex. Under no circumstance would a man sit back and let that happen. But for a woman, it's inconceivable. And that's why I spoke about the earlier issue of male and female created God, them. If we don't understand that basic root of our existence, there would always be these kinds of conflict. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, I'm reading from verse 3, he says, let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise the wife to her husband. Now, when you go further, then he goes to say that the body of the wife does not belong to her, but to her husband, and the body of the husband does not belong to him, but the wife. So you notice that Paul is actually ensuring that what he has spoken to the husband, he has said same to the wife. Then he goes further and talks about consent. So when you talk about good sex, one of the things about good sex is consensual involvement. The place where men force themselves or women compel their husbands and blackmail them to engage sexually with them is unwelcome and must be discouraged. The second thing is edification. You see, if sex between spouses do not edify them, the concept of edification is enriching your life, adding qualitatively to your life. If it does not for a Christian happen to you, then there is an issue. And clearly in this lady's case, there's no edification. But the third and the most critical one for me is glorification. It must glorify God. Because there are certain things that you cannot bring into the matrimonial bed. Hebrews 13 verse 4, marriage must be honored and the bed kept undefiled. Strange fires that have been introduced into marriages today are a problem.
Like?
Oh, there's so many of them. I mean, I remember one time listening to Lexus Bill's program, and somebody who had gotten married and she's being pounded from behind. You know,
as in anal sex,
anal sexual contact. And, you know, when I listened to her story, many of the people who go through this subsequently develop what they call incontinence, where they are there in fecal matter voluntarily just drip. Now, why would you put your spouse through that? And it's because of this myth in the minds of many people that they are looking for something tight. But you see, it's utopic to go that route because it's about technique.
So the concept of the tighter, the sweeter.
Oh, I think
it's
that
neither here nor there.
I think that people create these things and create a monster.
I'm very sure you've heard
I've heard that. I mean, you go to your Facebook.
There are men who say the tighter, the sweeter. There are women who say the bigger, the sweeter.
No, go to the internet and you see longer, heavier, thicker. Longer, heavier, thicker. It's just pumping at your face like boom, boom, boom. And a lot of men are going for it. My friend Dr. Hobson will often say that a man doesn't need a penis longer than 4 inches to have good sex. Really? He's a sex therapist. Yes. I mean, and it is true because it's not Nungwa, Teshi, Labadi, Laboni. It's not Madina, Zongo Junction. It's not Adanta, Dodoa, Ebri, Beposo. It's not John Tay. The new interchange was that. It's not that one. It's up Jesus, down Satan, move to the right in the name of Jesus, move to the left in the name of the Lord. And that is called technique. So spouses need to take their time. And this is why the men usually are the most guilty, because we're one go project, we put everything aside, then it's then the woman is like, look at this face. And then she gets offended because here you are, she has not even experienced any joy, and her life is not enriched or edified by what you have done. So it's as if you have a fixation and you want to satisfy your fixation. My painful bit about what she wrote is where she's saying that there is pressure on her. Why must you have pressure? Pressure to get pleasure? Look, it will be counterproductive. She
yearns for satisfaction. She actually used that word.
Yes,
I yearn for satisfaction. I feel like going out.
As for yearning for satisfaction, there could be triggers that will cause that yearning. It doesn't necessarily mean you have somebody you're comparing, but there's a trigger because you get into this hyper mode and you are hoping to exhale and then relax, what they call afterglow or resolution. And you want to have that experience. Or sometimes two people are talking about it. You know, this girls conversation.
You want to experience it.
Have you been there before where you see blues and you see this and you call things that be not as though they were?
Abraham.
And then she says, no, I've never experienced this before. I say, hey, what's this? Hey, he said, are you the only stranger in Jerusalem? So it is real. So we need to help these individuals.
So this understanding is very, very key.
It's so important because
very,
look,
very important.
A man has headache and wants sex. The wife will go like, is that not you who were complaining
of headache, right?
And then the man goes, what has this got to do with that? For a woman,
in fact, the sex will actually release him of the headache.
When she has headache, But you see, the truth of the matter too is that some headaches don't need Panadol. Mm-hmm. This will cure it.
Interesting. Mama Cathy. What are the things that you would term as unacceptable, in a Christian marriage? I'm looking at a situation where a spouse is asking the other to do something to him or something to her, and she's saying, no, I'm not too comfortable with this. And you say, well, that is what will satisfy me. That is what will turn me on. Are there red lights, with regards to these things?
Yes, I think Elder Kevin mentioned something that fits into this question we just asked. And I'll say, God created us with body parts, and every body part has functions. There are certain things that should not be brought to the bedroom for Christians, and particularly about Christians. If you're not a Christian, you're free to explore and do just whatever you want with your spouse. But when we say we are Christians, we should understand that the one who created our sexuality is watching how we handle the bedroom, and he wants to derive glory from what we do. And so I believe another thing that he said that I want to pull out is the issue of consent. And not be interested in certain things because I don't believe or really feel a release in my spirit that I should engage in certain things. I don't know whether I should be particular, but I don't think that I don't even know how to put this, but I believe that there should be boundaries. Bedroom should be for healthy, decent sexual encounters. Sexual encounters that doesn't demean me. Sexual encounter that doesn't reduce me to becoming like an animal. Yeah. Sexual encounter that does not make me, after the whole process, feel belittled or feel used. Sexual encounters that at the end of the day, my self-esteem, my self-image, everything about me isn't broken. So if I don't even know or my husband doesn't know, I believe that conversation still will have to come up. What are the boundaries we must set? What are the things that are healthy? I should be able to tell my husband, this is how far you can go. This is what you can do. But if you suggest, God forbid, you have gone to watch pornography and you want to come and carry out the what do you call it, the styles. There are certain styles that I will not be a part of. I'm not saying stick to missionary style, but I'm saying that the bedroom should be filled with something that is creative, something that is sweet, something that is inviting, but not something debasing. But basically that.
What are some of the for education purpose, Mama Cathy? What are some of the things that in a Christian home, you're a counselor, you're a pastor, you're a mother, you're a mentor, mentoring a lot of young people who are married. What are certain things that you'd say this and that, it's a no for a Christian marriage when it comes to sex?
Personally, it's a no for me with anal sex. Anal sex is a no. Threesome is a no. Foursome is a no. Swapping is a no.
What's swapping?
Swapping is giving my spouse to my best friend to have sex with and also exchanging ourselves like that.
Now people do that.
Oh yeah, I was in South Africa as guest to a group.
They do that.
And then they had this thing called braai. And when we were just closing, I saw people offloading bags into boots of vehicles. So I asked my host, what's happening? He said they are swapping spouses.
Also South Africa, that nation needs deliverance, yeah?
And that was my first real witness of persons swapping. I mean, in the Western world and among celebrities, they have what they call open marriages now.
You can cheat,
and that's even horrible than swapping.
Interesting. Well, Cathy, looks like your mic went off again.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I hear you now.
Okay, so swapping may be here, but we will not know. You don't have an idea.
Yeah.
the extremes people have gone to worldwide. It's a global village now. So it's everywhere. It's only that it's not brought to the notice of everybody. And there's another one I heard somewhere, I won't mention the place in Accra, in marriage and sex, orgies, where all these people come, so many of them jump into bed and everybody's having married. And this family that does this, they are a couple, they are married couple. And so they come in their numbers, different men, different women. You just finish this one, jump on this one. Everybody can have 8 or 10 different people sleeping around here. So those things, in my spouse, I will not subscribe to it.
Binge sex.
So there's a lot going on. And those things are completely unacceptable for any Christian. No, it's unacceptable.
What do you say about oral sex?
Oral sex, sincerely speaking, personally, I don't really subscribe to it. Because you see why I don't subscribe to it? God forbid, this person has done escapade, and then you go and drink what you shouldn't drink into your system. Hey, you expose yourself. Oh. So I don't subscribe to oral sex. There's Christians, I have interacted with Christians who said there's nothing wrong. It's within the confines of their marriage. But I believe that every Christian should be convinced and convicted when it comes to certain things about sexuality. Convinced about it. I personally will not subscribe to it. Maybe another person would. But I believe the Holy Spirit will tell you. Mouth was meant for food. But you know what? All this exploration. They may say I'm old school saying that.
Well, I expect that though. But for somebody who is listening to you and he's saying, well, you're saying we should do foreplay, and so what exactly are we going to do when it has to do with the foreplay? Yes, I understand the morning parts, good words, affirmation, and all of those things. Now, when we're getting close to the real deal, and what you're talking about foreplay, all these things you're ruling out. So then there's nothing left to do. So on the back of that, what will you suggest?
I didn't rule out anything. There is.
I'm asking the question of a listener.
Yes, I know. But what I'm saying is, I read a scripture at the beginning. That was Proverbs. Okay, there is breast. Interestingly, every part of this body is very good, and that is why probably I say, and I repeat. For a woman, every part of my body, if I'm in the mood, and let me emphasize that word as a female, if I'm in the mood, every part may trigger me. But if I'm in the mood, if you like some assault, nothing will move. And so the real issue is not what triggers all the foreplay. The real issue is understanding and consent and agreement and oneness, connectivity during the process. That process will deliver more than having to engage in oral. I may not outrightly, I know that I'll be quoted. This thing I've said, I know I'll be quoted. Anybody who feels that oral sex is good for them as Christians, I am not Holy Spirit. Then Jesus said, I will go that the comforter may come. If your comforter is telling you to do it, go ahead and do it. I'm not answerable to it. Okay? So don't hold me accountable to that. People do what...
You got me laughing.
So basically that is the truth. Because every part of the body of a woman, there are triggers and sensory things that are there you can explore. But if you think that the only option left for you is oral sex, go ahead and do it if you feel.
From what you both have shared, I have learned that the mind is also a very strong tool when it comes to sex, and we haven't really utilized the tool of the mind when it comes to sex. Am I right?
I was taught as a teenager that when it comes to sex, the brain is the boss. I was a teenager at that time.
So the brain can be considered a sex organ, actually.
Yes. Your body is your biggest sexual organ, your whole body. And that is why we need to be patient as spouses to discover. You see, you have a Discovery Channel. Life is not by the speed. We know the scripture tells us the race is not for the swift. Neither is the battle for the strong. It says time and chance. What is that? It's about discovery. What people don't do is to discover the unique person who is in their life. And they are comparing and contrasting with people who may be existing in their minds or in some telenovela or in some images they have seen or in some book that is salacious. Because see, when it comes to sex, it can either be sanctified or salacious. Now, salacious persons have an unhealthy interest in sex. Now, that's a very big threat to a union, because see, what normally happens when one is salacious is that that person is sexually expectant, but the other may be sexually satisfied.
And that's what births forth all these.
Exactly. So you can see.
Exactly.
So
I mean, some of the things you're mentioning are new to me.
You start getting into other things that are wanton pleasure. And that will be hurting to your spouse. When you're asking about some of the things, I was also thinking of spouses who are sadists.
What's that?
They literally dwell on dark emotions and inflicting pain.
So whipping
you, chaining you, doing all those kinds of things to give you sexual pleasure.
How does that turn one on?
It's a psychological issue. It's a psychiatric condition. But sometimes today, given what is happening with psychological associations of the world, which is actually dominated by persons with vested interests, a lot of the things that were psychiatric conditions are now being delisted.
So, for instance, you would
find persons who are actually turned on by fecal matter. We call them coprophilics. I mean, these persons, fecal matter is what it is that turns them on. Now, if you have a spouse who has that kind of thing, what are you going to do? So you go to the toilet, you don't clean up because they want that. So human excrement is what excites their libido. Now, there are individuals who are going through all kinds of challenges. So there's a need for spouses to learn, first and foremost, to be patient with each other. We are helping each other and we are growing together. One is not running ahead of the other. It's been famously said, if you want to run fast, run alone.
Sure.
But if you want to run far, run with others. Someone. So you are with your spouse. He's running nowhere. You are with your husband. He's running nowhere. Take your time. Go through a discovery process. And you can learn all these in a day. So let us not pommel ourselves and put ourselves under pressure. As I read from the letter, pressure is not pleasure. It's important to distinguish the two. You want to pleasure your spouse. There are many things. Tokens of love, respect, affirmation, connection. All those things, they are part of the process. You see, sometimes people think every romantic activity must be physical. People create the impression that intimacy must necessarily lead to sex or penetration. No. Here we are. We can be intimate with God, aren't we?
Sure.
Did we have sex with God?
At all.
So how did we get it? It's communication.
Exactly.
It's getting familiar with God. And so spouses need to get familiar. I said to the couple, the wife's most sensitive part is the tip of the nostrils.
His wife's most sensitive part.
Meanwhile, the husband is looking for a G-spot. He's groping through the dark like a galamsey digger, looking for gold. Meanwhile, it's just
the tip of the nose.
So how do you get this? This is not in the literature necessarily. It's with your spouse. So talk to her. Let her respond.
It's just amazing. Interestingly, time is not on our side. But I want to take your last comment in just a bit, Mama Cathy, before I come to Uncle Amos.
What will be that woman, together with every other person that may not be sexually may not be sexually enjoying their marriage, is that you don't allow somebody's mistake to make you become a mistake. Don't go look for pleasure outside. Eternity is far greater and weightier than sexual satisfaction. As much as sexual satisfaction is good, weigh it on the scale of eternity. And for the person who is married to somebody who feels deprived and, not satisfied, be patient. Love is giving. Give of yourself, your spouse, love to the extent that she feels satisfied. And that takes learning. That takes study. That takes opening yourself up to what will help equip you to be a better donor of whatever your spouse is looking for. In these times that there is pervasion everywhere, let's protect the covenant of marriage and respect the boundaries that God has given us, even in our bedroom, and make it exciting, make it creative, make it God-centered. Sex is beautiful. Let's enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Uncle Amos.
Well, I recently outdoored a product which we use. Part of these are from it. It's called Spice.
Okay.
SPICE. So sentiments, passion, intentionality, chemistry, expressions. And I believe that this is a summary of marital intimacy. Feel free to express your sentiments. Show sentiments. Be passionate about each other. You see, sometimes we are so driven by desire, we don't even take delight.
Okay.
But delight actually supersedes desire. That's why God in Psalm 37 says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He brings to pass the desires of your life. It's important for us to delight in one another. Take delight in your spouse. And when you take delight in your spouse, you listen to them. It's so important. And it's crucial to also be intentional about what you're doing. And let something connect you with your spouse. Spouses must find what connects them. Interests that are similar and all those things. They tend to connect you. And that's the chemistry. Have fond memories of each other. If one is not in the other's company, you should miss them. And when you are in the company, you should be noticed. Now, the last bit is expressions. Speak your mind. Don't hold back. I like what the lady has done. She has spoken her mind. What has not happened is the man has not responded in a way she expects. That has to do with the whole issue of expectations. So to get it satisfied, discuss it. What you discuss, take decisions. And what you take decisions about then becomes the benchmark you hold each other account to.
Thank you so much, Mama Cathy and Uncle Amos. It's been very educative. God richly bless you. I've learned a lot. I'll add to my repertoire. God richly bless you. Right. And Uncle Ken is very ready to serve us once again with some beautiful, beautiful jazz tunes. So don't flip your dial from 99.7 megahertz. Uncle Ken, a very good evening to you, sir.
Also, good evening. Good evening to you.
You're looking good in that blue color, eh?
Yeah, Thank you.
I was wondering why his is blue. Well, many have yellow.
Yeah.
Fantastic education tonight.
Thank you very much.
It's never too late to learn.
True.
Uncle Ken, I have a special request for all men.
Do you?
Yeah, International Men's Day was
Nice
yesterday.
one.
So please, some shout out for the men.
I will do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thank you very much. So keep your dial locked here on 99.7 megahertz Joy FM as we draw down the curtains on a walk with Jesus, but raise the curtains for Jazz on Joy with Uncle Ken Addy. My name is Ato Acquah, and I've been ably supported by Abraham Ofusofori. See you, God willing, same time, same place next time. We're out.
The discerning ear, the spirit of radio, bring lots of cheer, sweet, sweet stereo. Oh boy, that must surely be joy. That is great joy. 99.7. That is great.